Okay. I'll quickly link it out.
Okay, and you can see the screen?
Yeah.
And you can start Audacity?
Wait, I need to link the stream out. One sec.
Okay.
I'm getting phone calls and shit.
Okay.
I had to tell them I'll talk to them later. I'm just finishing now. I'm not good first thing in the morning, my dude.
Not as good first thing in the morning?
I'm a night owl person. I'm not good at like waking up and doing shit.
No. I can relate. Ooh, it's getting cold.
Yeah, it has been really cool, man.
Need to buy another heater. My wife has the heater in the other room. I need one for myself too.
Yeah.
It's getting freezing.
I'm lucky I got central heating because it's the UK. And the houses are designed to, like, you know, keep heat in.
Yeah, not so much here.
No. Alright, I'm ready.
Alright, let's kick it.
Oh, that's it.
You got it started? Audacity?
Yep.
Alright guys, we are back! Week number 2, Season 5, 2024. Game-O versus Royal on Minstrel. Should be a awesome game to start us off. Let's go. I'm so happy to see Game-O back. Shun, this is going to be a fun match.
Right.
He put out such a good showing last week. Glad he's getting another chance here.
Yeah, he's spawning here in the top left on Minstrel and his opponent, Royal, down here in the bottom right. I'm looking forward to this week, saying what a great surprise for Christmas. Season 5, man. Oh, I'm so excited. And like you say, got a Game-O and YSC going to be showing up again. Nice to see these guys getting more and more of a chance to shine. Especially Speed. Speed definitely deserves a spot pretty much every week, I would say, this season, especially if he's performing, because what an exceptional showing we saw from him from SSL. If you can play at that standard, you definitely deserve to be a...
Feeling thankful today, Shun. It's American Thanksgiving, either today or yesterday,
Yes.
depending on when you guys are watching this. But happy Thanksgiving, our American friends.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We're thankful for KCM and for Starcraft Broodwar being in such an awesome state.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you want? Like, we get to wake up and cast these great games, and it gives you hope for the future. Like, not in just in terms of like your life in general, but even just very specifically in gaming, for example, and StarCraft even more specifically. What an amazing golden age we've been ushering in recently, and it only seems to get better. Saying it just seems like the scriptwriters go crazier and crazier as the seasons tick by.
Yeah, something that affects both of our lives very much. It's just a small part of most of the viewers' lives out there, but it's a good part.
Yeah.
And we're glad that it's here.
And here to stay potentially for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, here to stay for a very long time, I hope. Gonna be really annoying the heck out of this SCV at the wall. Royal decided to opt for this wall in. because it is so strong on this map and really on most maps. But he's ends up taking quite a bit of damage on these SCVs and forced to pull extra SCVs as well to that wall in. This is some good harassment from Gameo, and it's making his 12 hatchery very, very safe. He knows exactly what's happening on his opponent's side of the map, and he's going to be able to plan his build out really in depth going forward.
Yeah, I think, like, from what we saw before with Saxry on this map going forward, Paul, I do kind of think with the forced cross spawns on this map, it is almost impossible to, like, really do anything to punish this wall unless the Terran player, for whatever reason, doesn't react and identify the fact. I think, yeah, you can kind of just get away with murder here on this map as Terran. I think Royal's going to realize that and exploit that. Now that we've identified that Vorpal just doesn't seem to be able to punish cross-map, unfortunately, like, we're going to be having Terrans getting away with murder and feeling even safer while doing it.
For sure, he's going to get away with it here. He sent the first Marine across the map, looking to just push away that first drone, but instead of committing to that, he decides to wander around the map just looking for this Overlord. He knows that the Overlord would love to get over top of that natural to keep scouting information on where these Marines are headed and how many are being produced, but Gameo keeps his Overlord just a little bit outside of that natural, in a safe spot, and he's actually walking all the way around. Wow, look at this. Royal's gone all the way, the long way around this Overlord. And this might catch Gameo completely off guard because he's watching the bridge. He's not watching that top pathway. And here comes those Marines now right on into this mineral line. Going to drop a bunker on the left-hand side. It's not the best placed bunker, but it is going to give him some space to micro behind this wall. 2 drones have gone down, 3 drones, 4 drones have gone down already. Oh my gosh, and this is so much damage.
I mean, a really big mistake from Gameo here. Like, he should have just, like, baited with the drones a little bit more, but he committed so much so that he was able to target down the drones too heavily there. He really should have been a little bit more careful with those drones and just allow his lings to do the bulk of the work there. He can put a bit of counter pressure on now, but with this tight wall in, like, what can you really do as Zerg with Zerglings? Pretty much nothing. So unfortunately, like, there's no compensation here for Gameo. He's just, like, seriously behind in this game. He might even have to, like, go all in with 2Hatch Muta here.
There's not too many choices left open to him, that is for sure. Royal has seized control of this game with those drone kills. It really felt useless the way that Gameo moved his drones. He didn't have a good place to mineral walk onto, so he couldn't get on top of the Marines to force them to dance. And the Lings come from the other side. They are very slow at cleaning that up. And Royal is light years ahead now. Another hatchery goes down in the main. That's interesting. Gameo not going to go for 2 hatchery Muta. He's actually going to try and drone his way out of this and just play from behind. And this is something you have to do sometimes as Zerg.
Well, maybe he correctly identifies that he's not on the kind of caliber to go and, like, kill someone of Royal standard with just his Mutalist micro alone here. Maybe the only way he can come back. Oh, he scans it, though. He knows exactly that it's not going to be a... This is the problem, see. Now that Royal knows he's trying to go 2.5 hatch to optimize lava to catch up, he knows he's not going to be committing too heavily on Mutalisks, so he can cut on it turrets a little bit. He can be super safe. That's a really critical scan, and he sees how many drones are coming out. He knows exactly what's coming out of Gameo. He knows there's going to be hardly any mutas on the way, just a bare minimal, like a very slow trickle up to 5 and then barely up to 10. Like, really low muta commitment will be coming out of Gameo just to catch up on drone count, which means that Royal inversely can cut so much on turrets, just making, like, only a few here and there. He will be able to be optimized against this. He'll be able to go into 4 racks and then probably crush Gameo if he's not careful.
You're totally right, Shun. Cutting so many turrets. He's only got the 1 in the natural. The bunker at the front, just in case there was some sort of all-in coming, but that's absolutely not the case. Drone headed down to the bottom left. Gameo gonna try and take a 3rd base behind this. He just wants to power up. And power out of this mid game. That's really the goal, I feel, is not to really engage with Royal at all until he can get to the next stage. Try to get into Hydras and Lurkers as soon as possible and just skip this phase of the game altogether if possible.
Yeah, this bunker is super important. It both covers the supply depot so he doesn't get supplied blocked by the mutas picking them off, but if he does need to run into the main base with those marines, the lings can't just come in for a stab in the natural and kill off the turret, so the bunker is very necessary in just giving some coverage in this natural expansion and having some zone control. There's not really a high count of mutalisks, so maybe Royal can sneak out onto the map with this marine ball. It will force more and more mutas to be squeezed out of Gameo here as he needs to get control over this bio ball. There's no sunken colonies online. Royal's trying to thread the needle here. If he can get these marines into position before the mutalisks grow too big in size, maybe something can be done here. There are some marines that are currently on the way to reinforce as well. Lings will be able to be cleaned up by them. There's enough critical mass that has been reached now that he can maybe get this other bio out onto the map. He's just worried about them being cleaned up by the mutalisks.
It looks like these marines are going to head back towards home, try to get the reinforcement ball to join up with this first expeditionary force. And right now, the name of the game for Gameo is do not engage. Just backing off over and over again. He's looking for kills. Looks like he's going to get a couple kills on the backside. Let's pick off one marine or two, but utilizes all of those links. And now he's going to dive on this group. If the bio ball goes directly towards this natural, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. There's no sunken colony there. Okay, he's got one sunken underneath these three mutas. And the Royal Marines are not going to stim and run for this natural. He's actually bought enough time here.
Yeah, he's only been forcing stims up until this point, but there's 4 medics who might just barely have enough to keep forcing the issue, or at least force Gameo to keep trading here. You can see Gameo does want to like shed away at the number of these Marines as much as possible before he can get out a high enough count of mutaling to clean this up. He's a little bit worried with this singular sunken. He's now pretty much safe that he's been able to get out these additional mutas and lings, but until that time, he was a little bit of a desperation moment where he was worried that he would eventually get outmatched by the Bioforce, but it looks like he's going to be okay for now. Comes in with a pincer maneuver from both sides, trying to get a Sulky-esque cleanup on aisle 5 in. Looks like it's going to be okay, but honestly, like, he did kill a few of these mutalisks in the process, so not the worst trade possible here for Royo, and critically win the bottom left, killing off this hatchery. I don't think these mutalings are going to get down there in time. I think he's got the hatchery just barely.
Ooh, it's going to be so close. 4 Marines just bashing away at that hatchery. He does another stim just to try and kill this off. 22 HP, and it manages to survive. That is crazy, Shun.
I thought he had it.
How did he save that? 4 Marines making their way down to that bottom left. It looked like a hatchery killing force, but it just didn't quite have the DPS.
Wow.
Gameo, he did a good job cleaning up the bio on the middle of the map, and I really feel like this has succeeded. The Gameo play, the gambit here, the gamble that Gameo tried to go for by powering up and just not engaging, he keeps the base alive in bottom left, so I'd say that's a win.
I mean, the hatchery at 1 HP functions just the same at maximum HP, saying, so as long as he doesn't let another counterattack come down this bottom lane, he's going to be still A-okay, but needs to maintain control. Oh, losing a lot of mutalisks though. Oh, 2 mutalisks go down for free. There needs to be extremely careful. His mutaling force is the only thing that's stopping the map presence from Royal kind of becoming established again, and then he can just come down and swing by this hatchery and pick it off way easy. So needs to be very, very careful. 1-1 upgrades have now finished up for Royal as well. So vessels are also going to be out. Not quite got the energy for the irradiate just yet, but eventually we'll be able to start to bat away these mutalisks and put on a lot of pressure.
Gameo, after cleaning up that Marine medic force and keeping that base alive, is not out of the woods, that's for sure. Royal can put on a ton of pressure, and it's still up to Gameo to keep on pulling this army back and forth and keep it away from his natural. Keep that base in the bottom left alive as well. If I'm Gameo, I'd be super tempted to throw down another hatchery in that bottom left, but he is so close to the knife's edge. He's so close to defeat. If he makes any mistakes, he could be in a lot of trouble, so he's walking that knife's edge the best that he can. He'll just have to make sure that he doesn't allow a small drop or just a few bio units to wander around that bottom side and snipe that hatchery. It's got to be so tempting for Royal to build a dropship right now. Yeah. And that's why we see Gameo keeping a bunch of units in the bottom side of the map, just waiting for something to come out in that direction.
Well, there's 4 four lurkers on the bridge, halted the advance in its tracks. Now it's trying to rotate around into the bottom secondary lane, see if it can maybe thread the needle behind those lurkers, or maybe sneak down into that bottom left and kill the hatchery. If it can't, Mutalisk are on the ball with that though. Needs to be careful. Just one or two good irradiates would spell disaster. Needs to be able to split those out when it comes down to it. Did manage to cancel this CC down here with a Link counterattack as well, did Gameo, so he is still getting a lot done with his efforts, but I'm a little bit concerned for him. I don't know how he's going to protect this hatchery another time around. He needs to get some lurkers. Oh, he's got two lurkers down here already with the Mutalisk maybe helping. He might be able to hold this. It's a little bit awkward though, because the Marines are going to come from the other side as well with these reinforcements. This will be a very difficult position to hold, just two lurkers and no Defiler, and there's no Nidus down here either.
The Nidus is about to finish up. Two irradiates will come through in just a moment. Oh!
Ooh.
One irradiate on the Muta, one on the lurkers. Coming in from both sides. This is crazy. Is he going to be able to hold? The lurker spines are getting spread quite a bit. A bunch more lurkers pop through. It looks like he will be able to keep this alive for now. Going after one of these vessels, he should be able to get it. Oh my god, Scourge are so stupid.
Scourge are so
not
bad.
connecting with that one vessel. And man, Royal doesn't break through. Gameo holds on, but
yeah,
quite a bit was lost. And he doesn't kill any of these vessels. That vessel count is going to continue to rise here soon.
Yeah, I mean, there are still problems that Gameo has to solve, but he's trying desperately to stitch up the seams as he can to hold the fabric together. Maybe he can make something out of his tunic eventually, but right now he's looking pretty shabby indeed, showing up to the party and not exactly the best dregs here. I don't know what we're going to have to... I like this play from Gameo. Like, he's doing a lot of counterattacks with these Lings, but he's starting to make his late game a little bit more awkward the more and more we progress. So he's solving problems now, but creating more problems for himself later on. A little bit more concern for him that he's not taking this bottom base a little bit more seriously. I hope he's got a Defiler on standby at the Nidus canal ready to dive through, because he seems to be a little bit too aggressive right now. I'm worried that there's not going to be a Defiler in response to the siege that's going to be taking place in the south region. It looks like Royal's not really committed to laying siege to that position too much though.
I like what Gameo's doing, sending this counterattack around the map. You got to take advantage of all the different pathways of Minstrel. Nice job sniping down one of these vessels as well. Uses up those last couple of mutas and gets some good value out of it. This map is just so wild with the different angles that you can come from. Plays like this are inevitable. You're eventually going to get a Defiler on one of these pathways as long as you're committed to trying it over and over again. And Royal had all of his vessels down in bottom left, so it's a great opportunity to just run forward and deny this base. And now Royal just has to go on a counterattack. He can't actually clear this for some time. Great snipes here once again, picking off some of these vessels that were dealing with the Defiler and Lurker over in top right. This is some great moves by Gameo. It's still a tough game for him, but he's putting on a good show for us this first game.
I mean, he's picked off so many vessels with a Scourge. That alone might be enough to tip the balance for him. But I mean, supply-wise, it looks a little bit shaky. He is doing a great effort with these counterattacks. I'm just not seeing it slow down Terran enough. Like, the game state is, like, resetting over and over again, and Royal, relatively speaking, is ending up with just a little bit more stuff each time. Gameo hasn't yet got this fourth gas online. Once he does get this fourth gas online, that will change up a little bit, but now we've also got BCs on the way for Royal. So once he gets a third gas up and BCs on the way, Royal should be able to put on a lot of pressure to Gameo. And with these high enough vessel counts, should be able to lay siege to the bottom left here, putting on a lot of irradiates down. I don't think Gameo can field enough Ultralisks yet, so he's still relying mainly on these Defilers. Beautiful Divider clouds here in the third base. Not going to be shutting down the attack, though. They can still just kill the hatchery underneath the dark clouds, and also kind of just rotate around the clouds to avoid them for the most part. So honestly, like, Gameo's slowly being bled off a little bit here.
Gameo not able to get that fourth base online. There's still time though. Only 16 minutes in. His main base and Natural are going to be mining for quite a bit of time still. Another counterattack making its way over to the center right. May have a plague for this big group of Marines. Just the Dark Swarm, I suppose. He has both upgrades now, Plague and Energy, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Gonna target down the command center and start to kill a bunch of workers. Gameo making it a little bit tough for Royal. not allowing him to just hit him over and over again from different angles and not worry about defense. He's having to deal with a bunch of fires all over the map while putting pressure onto Gamo, and Gamo's doing a reasonable job of holding this off. He doesn't have +2 armor though. That +2 armor is pretty slow, I would say. That +1 has been done for a while. His late game relevance is incredibly important, that +1. If you don't have that +2 upgrade finish and the +3 on the way, you're going to be pretty much irrelevant late game and when these ultras pop out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a 2-1. There it is. Okay, so the timing's not too bad at 17 minutes, but yeah, he's a little bit slow behind the curve, as Zerg usually are, unless they're going crazy Zerg, so it's not too crazy. But the BC's now applying pressure. It will be a little bit difficult for Gamo to now navigate. He's going to make a lot of gas into from Scourge, and now he spent that all into Ultralisk, so he won't have much anti-air. So and with these forces still applying pressure to this fourth gas, he needs to defend this base at all costs. Does snipe this vessel, come down here with a few small pockets of units. Not really the great target firing from Royal though, so I don't think he's going to be able to kill this hatchery critically. I think Gamo is going to save this hatchery, which is so important. He can't let this fourth base go down yet again. BC is just hammering away at the natural expansion. Maybe they can deny gas mining there. They really do need to at least force a lot of gas investment out of Gamo. He's been trying to sandbag these BCs with spores as much as possible, but even the skirmish from the Marines can be picking off this perimeter spore here so their vessels can just have free reign. Beautiful radiates coming down these Ultralisks as well. Royal's forcing the issue, Sam.
Yeah, he's pushing through, and Gamo, I mean, 2,000 minerals in the bank. He hasn't been able to spend all of his money. He doesn't have Scourge to deal with these battle cruisers. The Spore colony is going to come up, but it's a little bit too late. Those BC's already tucked down in that bottom left-hand corner, and that base is going to fall. The base in the center left fell as well. It feels like Gamo just completely fell apart in this last couple of seconds. As you were talking there, everything just completely flipped over for Gamo. He has nothing left at any of these bases. He's trickling out Lings. A couple of Ultras must be in production, but we're sitting here on 2,300 minerals. What happened with Gamo? He just falls apart. GG. This can happen with a player the caliber of Royal, though. Putting on pressure, back and forth, back and forth. It feels like Gamo was holding on nicely until he wasn't, and then everything just rockets to pieces. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you paid attention, like, to the trading, like, after, even though it was really good what Gamer was doing, like being counter aggressive, like after every time he did that, like the Royal was like a little bit further along where he wanted to be, just a little bit closer to where he wanted to be each time. So even though the pressure was good, it was kind of weird because it was like Gamer was applying pressure, but Royal was the one that was growing. So it was like he was doing Royal's job for him. It was like he was doing the pressure part of the job and like throwing units at Royal, but Royal was still growing the entire time. So yeah, and he never really got that fourth gas online.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Yeah, it's like he was taking damage, but it wasn't critical damage. There's a lot of Zerg players who that'll happen to. That type of thing will happen to. And then they'll just come out with like a massive force of ultras and just completely roll the Terran player. But
there's a reason why you don't usually see Zerg play like that, because they can't keep up with the trades. Like if you invest so much of your gas in your aggression, you haven't got enough gas to defend later on as well. You know what I mean? Like, you want just a little bit of extra reserve gas, so it's not too costly to like quickly throw out like 3 pairs of Scourge to deal with BC or something later on. You know what I mean? Like, every little helps.
Right. Oof. I'm having a bit of trouble with my analogies.
Yeah.
In this cast so far, jeez, feel like it's a little tough to switch up the time. Maybe brain's not working as good.
No worries, man. Might just be a warm up issue.
All right. Well, let's pull it together here in game number 2.
All right.
Okay, game number 2, Stork versus Royal. Feels like Gamo got a little bit over eager to deal some damage to Royal that last game. He sort of fell apart. Didn't have the gas late game to spend on ultras and never was able to get that 4th base. It's tough. It's so tough on Minstrel to play the way that Gamo was trying to.
Well, just in general, really. I mean, especially when you're behind like that. Honestly, it was a commendable performance for him to play from that behind. He lost so many drones in that early game, and the fact that he didn't just go all in 2H Muta and try to play a normal macro game out of it, it was a commendable performance still.
I almost forgot how many drones he lost to those early Marines. That was some extremely painful damage, and not the greatest showing afterwards is completely understandable. His Mutalist timing was so screwed up, and he still managed to make it into a reasonable game. So I hope we see more Gamo in the future. For now, Royal versus Stork. I don't know what to even think about Stork right now. What are your feelings about Stork, Shin?
I mean, I never know what to expect from this guy. It depends on how seriously he's taking things. I mean, SSL's over now. Maybe he's playing a little bit more chill, so maybe he's not putting in quite as much practice. Or he might be thinking, hang on a minute, I had a pretty good run of it. Maybe I'll put in extra practice and, next time around it'll be better. Who knows with this guy? Who knows? Like, he might be chill right now and like not playing super serious, or he might be thinking, maybe I got a shot at next SSL and Flash might be back as well and I can have fun beating up on Flash before he gets too good.
Perhaps he's thinking that way. I don't know. I thought that he was going all in on last season because Flash wasn't there, and it was a good opportunity to maybe get an ASL victory before he comes back. But
it's probably more like that.
I might be feeling discouraged now. Who knows? Stork, he looked so good at the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
And then he started to kind of slow down a little bit. We'll see where he's at today. I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to give us a good game, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's already putting in a couple of particle beam shots onto that Marine. If you can get at least 2 shots onto it, it's definitely worth. Means it's only 3 hits to kill later on by a Dragoon. So if you can at least get 2 shots on it, you do. Oh! He nearly loses the probe. And what I like about this is that he didn't try and get another hit on the Marine. I think he only hit it once with a particle beam, and he knew if he tried to hit it one more time, he wouldn't have gotten out with the probe. So pretty well calculated from Stork there to not try and get the greedy hit on the Marine with the probe there on the way out. Because if he did a tiny little one frame on like turning the probe or something, could have like meant that the probe would die there.
It keeps that alive. Not giving up a lead to Royal early is important. I expect, Stork may be able to put out a good fight, but if he gets behind early against Royal, I don't know how well I rate him at his opportunity, his chances of taking Royal down. He's just such a solid Terran player.
Yeah.
And he's not going to let a lead go away or escape his grasp, a win escape his grasp. If he does get a lead early on, he's going to bring it to a nice conclusion. Focusing on the Vulture here. There's only 2 Marines rather than the 3, but he will be forced back.
Did you see that the Dragoon missed the SCV building the CC, which is very unlucky. That's a 1 in 255 chance for those watching that do not know. So it's a sign of the times. Maybe Stork not feeling very lucky today. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a bad omen for Stork, I would say. Missing the first shot on the SCV like that. Not the best of feelings. Yeah, a little bit weird, but what can you do? It's Starcraft is Starcraft. I feel like Stork, though, is one of these Protosses that doesn't need to rely on gimmicks to succeed in this matchup. He's one of the few Protosses that are just comfortable to sit back and just like macro usually. But we do see a fast Citadel from him in this game. So he's definitely going to be doing a little bit of 2-base, maybe 2-base Arbiter play, but mainly doing a bit of a DT timing to rely on that. So using DTs to slow down and buy time and put on pressure to Royal, maybe going into an Arbiter tech afterwards to make use of that Templar Archives as well. Well,
let's see if this SCV ends up getting in the main, because if it does, Stork is going to be in a huge amount of trouble. Oh no, that's not an SCV. Vulture slipping by, and it is going to get over here to see this Citadel. He pulls probes, excuse me, to try and block that, but it is spotted. Oh man, Stork, his luck is not turning around anytime soon.
Yeah,
that is about as bad as it gets.
Currently, even on supply, I mean, it's hard to know exactly where these players are lining up right now. Stork's expansion might be going down soon. If he can get away with getting this third down right here, right now, this isn't too bad. Like, there's no Royal, I don't think, can slow this down. So if he can get this, oh, needs to be careful. This mine though. Oh, okay, that's really bad. That's okay. Not ideal here from Stork so far. Like, this is look. The only thing going for him is that he might get this Nexus down before 6 minutes without being stopped. That's the only thing. Oh, he's playing with fire and he's getting burnt in the process as well. Saying one of those goons is dangerously low on HP. He's tuck-tailing and running. I think he realizes he's no Bisu right now. He needs to just like reestablish himself and not be so cocky.
Yeah, that was a risky decision to try and micro those mines down. Just if two of them ever pop up, you're so screwed. And
yeah,
as you can see, he loses a Dragoon and almost loses a second one. Now he's all the way back home. He could die to a push, except for the fact that he's going to have... okay, actually he's not. That's funny. He didn't go for DT at all. We're expecting DTs right now, but there's none. He just finished a Citadel, and then he abandoned that tech. It'll be useful later on to be able to get speed going, but there's a good chance that he'll actually build a second one of those, because this is not the right timing for the Citadel, and I think, you know, around that time when you need the Citadel, he'll probably end up building another one, not even realizing that he has that. If he does remember, I'll be impressed, but likely that he won't be able to. You can see Rose sitting back really cautiously right now because he knows that there should be some sort of DT play coming. He throws out a scan, he sees what's in the main base. Now he knows that there's no DT. And now he can start to move forward a little bit. It's just a little bit of a mind game that Stork played by not utilizing this tech.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind games you'll see in PvT especially. Sometimes it'll just be like researching weapons upgrade on your core to make them think you're going carriers. In this case, it was like a very fast Citadel, make him think he's going to go Templar tech and into DTs, maybe even into a 2-base arbiter timing, just to throw him off exactly what his game plans are, and probably would have made it harder to identify they even wanted to throw down this third Nexus at that time as well. So we'll make it much more difficult for Royal to min-max his own build in response to this, but yeah, I don't know if this is going to be enough of an advantage for Stork, though. I mean, mind games are great and all, but you still need to execute. So we'll have to see. He was a little bit sloppy with his Dragoons before, so he's going to need to have much more better fidelity in control over his units going forward. Do have this shuttle en route into the main base, but Royal is ready for him. 3 tanks and 2 Goliaths just waiting.
Yeah, he went for early turrets as well when he saw the Citadel. I was expecting some sort of DT play, DT drop potentially, so he's very well defended in his main base. Stork going to send out another probe and looking to potentially go into carrier as well. He starts +1 attack on that cybernetics core, and what is this, 3 base carrier? Is just going to go straight into carrier after this? This is the old Stork play. Oh, he's going to try and take a 4th, too. Yeah. Wow, I didn't expect him to throw that down immediately, but there it is.
I like to see
Nexus
this.
Down bottom right.
I like to see this. Like, he still needs to execute. I mean, if Royal identifies this, he can. There's like a 3-minute window where Royal can still punish, but he hasn't got that many factories. It's not like Royal is already lining himself up with like a 5-6 factory to deal with this Reaver play already, so... honestly, this might be a great little gambit here from Stork, but like I say, a 3-minute window will be active for Royal to take advantage of this if he can identify it sometime soon. Stork taking this 4th base very early on. If Royal sees this 4th base, it's going to be even more difficult for him to identify that it's going to be a very early carrier play. So this just looks like a very greedy gateway man setup from Stork. So... if Royal doesn't identify this, it could be disastrous because he might just see this as a normal macro game from Stork. But this dropship could be critical, not in just doing a damage, but also in identifying this potential carrier play.
He sees the spinning cybernetics core.
There you go, yeah.
He doesn't know where the Stargates are just yet. Here comes the dropship. Probe's going to be pulled immediately. There it is. He sees the double carrier being built. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, going to fly over top of this little lake area. Keep that safe for now. Of course, once the carriers pop out, it's kind of a unique situation. Those will be able to go down and kill that dropship, make sure it doesn't deal any damage. However, the important information that Royal has managed to gain by sending in that drop is not going to go to waste. He's adding on a ton more factories. He's going to immediately take his third and start the push before the carriers fully come online.
Yeah, we've got 6 factories worth of production now online for Royal to utilize. Now he can start to take his third base and exploit that onto the map. Currently, though, Stork being active with his Dragoons and Zealots on and in the center of the board right now, forcing the Vulture raiding parties back so they can't establish mines out on the map and identify what's going on. It has got this third base coming online in the 12 o'clock position. Looks pretty easy for him to defend, but without the mines set up like they would usually be, it's actually a little bit dangerous for Royal here, because he can like send up like 2 or 3 Zealots to get the cancel on that, while the Dragoons screen the units, so he might be able to kill this SUV and be annoying here.
He's going to try to come up on the high ground, forces the cancel. Royal just going to utilize the information that army is stuck over in the top right-hand corner. Whoa. The Reavers here are not being controlled properly.
Oh, no.
He loses both the Reavers and only gets a couple of kills on some Goliaths for his trouble. Now the army is over here in the top right-hand corner. It's baiting the tanks back a little bit, but Royal's just going to come out in a second, and I don't think that Stork is ready to take this fight.
I mean, he needed to force like a couple of sieges and at the very least trade a little bit better with those Reavers and get some more shots off and at least sandbag this push by a few more seconds. The carriers have only just now started to come out and there's nothing slowing down this push. Just full speed ahead all the way down to the rally point pizza slice. A little bit of a premature siege was kind of necessary there because the Dragoons are raining down phase disruption shots from the high ground. You have to respect that still. But now he can just launch his way onto this high ground. There's not really enough of a trickle from these rally points to clear this up from Stork. There's not even any DTs. Like, he has enough scan as well. So he's purely relying on these 2 carriers taking down this entire force. There's only 1 Goliath, obviously. So the problem is only with 2 carriers, like these tanks can still just kind of ignore that 2 carrier DPS and just siege up and kill this Nexus still.
Yeah, that Nexus is going to fall. No 2 ways about it. Slow trickle of Goliaths will eventually get down here, but some Zealots will get on top of these tanks. Can he save the Nexus?
Yeah,
it looks
maybe.
like he just might. And as the Nexus stays alive, I don't know how many probes were killed. Another Nexus starts from Stork. Dude, the greed is crazy. Another Nexus? Are we kidding?
This is like old school Stork, man. I don't know how he does it. He's like one of the only players that even can play like this or is willing to play like this. I don't know how better way to put it. It's kind of crazy how he does. He might get away with it. Like, he's got a 3rd carrier. He's got 4 carriers now. He might just be able to get away with this. I mean, now he can start to fight with these carriers. He still needs to build up a few more interceptors before they become potent. There is a significant amount of Goliaths that have already been established by Royal, trying to get down into this 9 o'clock base, but it doesn't really matter if this Nexus dies now. He's got enough bases coming online and he can support these carriers for a long time. If anything, there's just a bonus having this this base here for Stork. Royal's not even mining from his 3rd base, remember. He's got a mineral only, I think, actually, sorry. But this 4th base got shut down. So his own base timing's been significantly diminished, and now with these 5 carriers raining down from the high ground while the Zealots go in to clear up some of the Goliaths, this trade is looking very Stork favored.
A lot of the interceptors have cleared up, but there's still quite a few Zealots remaining. They're actually pushing northward rather than coming down to clear out these Goliaths, which I'm not a big fan of, but he catches on to the SCVs heading towards top left, and now he knows about that 4th base. He's going to continue to pressure this direction. If he can get on top of these Goliaths and get right in melee range with his Zealots, maybe he can clear that out and prevent that base from going down. But instead, Stork, he's going to send a bunch of probes down towards bottom right instead. Keep pumping out these carriers and sit back a little bit. Allowing Royal to hold on to 5 bases is a little bit scary, though.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit strange that Stork is ending up in this situation. He might be able to make it work if he can just build up a crazy critical mass of carriers to bowl over Royal, like we see here. Look at this fleet of carriers that are starting to become amassed here. 7 so far. He will be going up to 10 in the next round potentially. So this is looking pretty crazy for Stork. He might just be able to bowl over Royal, but he needs to maybe get some good positional advantage with these Dragoons first so he can help out these carriers on the ground as well, because just pure carrier can still be overwhelmed. A good EMP and Goliath's target firing down those carriers can still deal them. Vulture raiding party coming to natural expansion will make quick work for that singular cannon as well. And this will start to chip away at the economy of Stork, so he needs to maybe keep doing counterattacks like this over and over again. But Stork, honestly, not losing too much to this. He is responding clean up. As long as he doesn't lose like High Templars, he's not really worried.
Oh my gosh, he's forced to make all of these High Templar into Archons.
That's bad. Yeah.
I was really hoping to have some storms out for these big clumps of Goliaths, but he's forced to make that. And now he's not going to have that spell, even though he invested a bunch of money into making the spell and making all of those Templar. He's pushing in with this big fleet of carriers and taking out quite a few of these turrets, but he just doesn't have any army on the ground to back this up. He's only going to be trading out interceptors for turrets, and it's not the greatest trade in the world. Royal's going to be happy to just sit there and hold. Yeah. Another base is going up in the top right. What is this? Base number 6?
Yeah.
If that comes up, Royal is not going to need another base for the rest of this game.
I mean, he's not even mining out his main and natural. He's like stopped mining his main and natural, so he's even got like more potential saturations. We've got some backup saturation for later in case anything bad happens. So yeah, pretty much everything is looking rather optimal for Royal. He's trying to establish himself in this northeast quadrant of the map. Stork inversely trying to see if he can get something done up there and get up onto these pizza slices. But already Royal, being so fluid with his army movements, has these tanks set up. So hard for Stork to really challenge him. He's going to cut off some of these reinforcing Goliaths on the western flank, though. Doing pretty good job of abusing this terrain is Stork, and this is what he used to be known for. Just these late game carrier maneuvers and just like completely dismantling the Terran player, and so far it does look like he's able to do that. So even though Royal was like doing a good job of establishing himself, like the experience of Stork shining through there and being able to find like a, you know, always get that like little puncture in the chitin, this plating of the player, and always finding the little weak spot to exploit here.
Pushing in to the top right, Stork is taking domination over this corner of the map. Royal just lost too many Goliaths there.
Yeah.
With the micro of Stork being so strong, I was going to talk a moment ago about how we're going to see just maxed out Terran with, you know, infinite money on the 6 bases, 7 bases, take on pure carrier, this giant carrier force. Wow, 11 carriers in that army now, and we're going to find out which army is better, but it really does seem like Stork has taken complete control of this game now. He is getting pressured by Royal, but the carrier number that's coming back, I don't think, like, even if you have 2 or 3 groups of Goliaths, you're not going to be able to face this. This is so many carriers. Okay, maybe jumping on top of 1 or 2 to start this fight out, but Stork gonna start to micro here, and dude, there is just way too many interceptors. 1 carrier goes down. That's a little bit of progress, but this carrier number is unreal. +3 must be done by now as well.
I mean, if Stork wanted to be really troll, he could like make like 2 or 3 sealed batteries at one of these bases, and then just keep like recharging the low HP carrier over and over again as he comes back in and out. Like, there's not much Royal can do here, unfortunately. Like, he's just getting out traded, and there'll also be like a few Dark Templars weaved in as well, so that when Royal's not paying attention, like his units will just die for free to the DT, and then if he does scan, he's being distracted by the notification to have to scan. And so Stork's being super annoying, and with this contingency of force coming around the map and killing some of these bases while the carriers are on the other side of the quadrant killing this base, like, there's nothing Royal can do to stabilize himself now, unfortunately. It looks pretty much hopeless with the Terran player.
Things once again falling apart all at once for our losing player. Royal is just about done here. He has no mining.
Yeah.
Went down from 4 What did he have? 6 bases to 3?
Yeah, I mean,
crazy swing.
The only way he'd probably had a chance of winning this if he was like secretly banking cloaked wraiths, and there's not really any observers supporting this. So if he could somehow get like 8, 10, 12 cloaked wraiths out, maybe he could kill these carriers and establish himself again in this game. But he didn't do that, so there's just no way of like really getting the tempo swing that he needs. I think he might be able to kill a couple of these bases, might be able to push the army back here. But as long as Stork doesn't like botch the carrier micro, I don't see how Royal's going to take this.
Yeah, you can start to harass the main base now. That's exactly what Stork's going to do. There's so much open terrain in the corners of the map here on Dominator. It's so microable.
Yeah.
You can stay here and harass the main as much as you like, pick off tons of peripheral buildings, and harass the Goliaths and all that good stuff without ever putting the carriers in real danger and real jeopardy.
And
Storm's going to defend these bases over in the bottom right as well, just taking such amazing trades here. Stork is nigh unbeatable.
This Stork's really clever about this. He's taken out a few supply depots, just enough to supply block Royal, so he can't keep producing out of these factories, because he knows he doesn't want to commit to killing the factories yet. He just wants to stop his ability to produce out of them. Now that Royal's losing a lot more units, he can start to go back to producing again. But now we'll see Stork will just keep trading until he dies now. And unfortunately, Royal's going to have to tap out. Really well executed play from Stork here, going back, just relying purely on his experience and knowing what to do with his carriers there.
Things felt really shaky for Stork in that early game, but I'm glad to see him pull it together and lean on his strength, which is that carrier micro control and decision making. Excellent play by him. He will move forward, going up against either Queen or Sulky. That's coming up, game number 3.
Someone asked if we could increase the video resolution because it's a bit blurred in game. Unfortunately, that's a byproduct of streaming through via someone's Discord stream.
Yes. 1 sec. Maybe I can increase it a little bit.
If you got a good internet connection, you could maybe make it a little better.
I just I don't, when I turn up the resolution too much, it starts doing that problem.
Yeah.
That we talked about before, where you can't see my screen unless I've got the full screen.
Oh yeah.
Open. That should be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a higher resolution now. And I'm sure they'd be happy. Yes, it's definitely less blurred.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, Queen versus Stork. Let's go. It's time for our Monty Hall game of the night. Queen versus Stork is what we're going to get. Another PVZ on Monty Hall.
Yeah.
Been some interesting takes on how to play this map, but it seems like a lot of players are leaning towards Corsair and Reaver play, and it's with mixed results, varying results, we'll say.
Yeah. And I'm loving this like manual boosting of the drone on the second patch on the bottom from Queen, like getting every drop of orange out of the juice, every drop of juice out of the orange. My bad. And inversely, hopefully we don't see Stork go for something crazy like 3 Stargates. Hopefully something a bit more mid-range.
Hopefully he controls his Reavers a little bit better if he wants to do that play than what we saw out of Mini last time as well.
Yeah.
If you guys recall last week, Mini really botched his control, and that's a little bit disappointing, but it is a tough build to pull off. I'm not even sure Stork will be willing to go for that. Takes a lot of finesse, but I would say finesse is Stork's strong suit. Wouldn't you agree? Rather than overall macro skill or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, not so much in his like nitty gritty micro ability. Like sometimes his Reaver micro looks a little bit sloppy, but his overall decision making, finesse, and control of the game does seem to be quite masterful. Like overall, he does seem to have an understanding of the game that some of these newer guys actually aren't on that level. It's just that they've got maybe a little bit better micro or something.
Yeah, that ability to look at the game situation, to look at any given spot that you find yourself in and just make the correct decision. That's the type of finesse that I'm thinking about. And he's going to start to harass this drone as it tries to eat through the patch. Has a gateway on the way after his Nexus first, by the way, as well. And there's a play that you can do on this map where, as a Protoss player, okay, no, actually Forge Gateway. There's a play that you can do is build a pylon right as that mineral patch gets mined out and keep that blocked for quite a bit longer and prevent, drones from being transferred through and that sort of thing. Prevent the lings from coming through and coming to harass you as well. We'll see if Stork wants to do that. Really just seems like he wants to, gonna come in rather than building that pylon.
Yeah.
And the lings out here, 6 lings are gonna chase this down. He sees everything. He should know now that there will be a third base coming up soon with no layer on the way. There's really no other play available to Queen aside from just grabbing a third.
Now, I'm curious because the Queen only is mining gas with 1 drone here. I wonder if he was considering throwing down a very fast den and then didn't because this probe got in. I'm curious because he could have attacked on this southern lane. He could go for... potentially could have gone for a Hydra den after going for link speed here. Would have been an interesting follow-up, but I don't know if he's going to go for that now. I feel like he's hesitating on his planned aggression, so to speak.
I think he's waiting for this link speed. Okay, link speed is actually done now. He's built a bunch of lings. He's going to come in, try to run by this wall. Oh, there's just one zealot up there at the top. Oh, the second probe comes in. It's almost able to block. It's so close to that block, but it's not quite there. And now the probes are going to start to fall. So many probes are going to go down in this main base as well. He starts a cannon immediately, but it takes a long time for this cannon to finish, and that's plenty of time for Queen to get a huge amount of damage on this probe line. Yeah, this is so painful. A ton of probes going down here, and Stork is just struggling to normalize now. Queen, I mean, light years ahead.
Oh, he did make the Hydra Den in the end. I think he was wanted to make that much earlier, but just couldn't, and instead just waited for the Ling play mainly. But I think the original plan was to do kind of like a Hydra Ling attack here at the natural, and instead just made it into mainly a pure Ling gambit only, and just wanted to get as much probe damage as possible. And then we'll probably do a Hydra bust as a follow-up, because there won't be enough economy to put into more cannons while stabilizing here for Stork. He's just going to be on pure damage control, and eventually a Hydra bust will come in and finish him off.
Really does feel like that's going to be the way in this game. It's generally on this map, games play out like islands, but in this case, it's feeling like a very normal map, right? We've got the both naturals facing each other, and both players just going to send units back and forth along this axis. So there's not really any sort of finesse play that Stork can do. They would regularly be available to him on a map like this, where generally things are going to play out in an island setting. But he's just going to have to hold this Hydra bus that's coming across the map, and the Zealots come up here. They see the Hydras. The Hydras already have speed. He can just out micro this. He's got to buy some time and allow him to build a few cannons, but can he really afford to build cannons right now? I mean, he is just on the edge of defeat.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost so much mining time to these tubelings as well. These 2 single Zerglings in this natural expansion have caused so much havoc and mayhem. In a way, in some ways, more damage than the initial attack did, just purely because he's lost out on any hopes of recovering because of how much lost mining time there is now. I don't think he can even afford to make cannons and still survive the mid game. He will still throw down the cannons, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Like, he might still die to the pressure, and Queen can just transition and be fine because of how much investment has already been made here from Stork. I don't think he can fully recover.
Yeah, no zealots are available, so he immediately runs forward and dives on top of these cannons. 2 cannons finish up right as this attack is coming in, and he manages to get a pretty good probe drill on top of all that. If there was a couple of zealots back at home, maybe he could have held on. But he actually sent a zealot around the map, tries to get the zealot into this natural to deal a little bit more damage. That's just going to get cleaned up. At least he sees, though, that more Hydras are coming. He knows he has to commit to the defense and keep on building Hydras. He starts he's going to start a Reaver here in a moment. Robotic support bay has begun, so he wants to hold on with Reaver. It's a good stopgap for when you need quick splash damage, and you cannot wait for Storm to come in. So it's the best hope that he has. It's a good decision from Stork. I just don't think it's going to be here soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, it comes quicker than Storm, but still not quick enough is the problem. And he's not mining with all of these probes while this is happening. And Queen's not even fully all in with this. He can still transition whenever he wants to. Does try to dive in. Beautiful screening from the probes. Does deny a lot of surface area. Actually, Stork does an amazing trade there. That probe positioning was almost perfect. He just probably will die now as these Hydras pounce in again, because the probes now pull back to mine because he needs to, and now the cannons are undefended because there's nothing to screen. So unfortunately this is going to be all she wrote here for Stork, but it was a valiant effort. Pretty good screening with the probes. It's just he didn't assume there was any more Hydras to come in.
Yeah, he thought he would go in with all the Hydras, so an understandable decision to make there. Stork pulling that back just a little bit too soon, and that Scarab does connect, but he's building one Scarab at a time, so it takes a lot longer for this Reaver to fire. He gets the last couple of Hydras. One more here, going to run behind the mineral patches and just deny a little bit more mining time from Stork. So frustrating to try and play from a deficit like this, but Stork feels like he has to, considering there's only one Hydra here. But as the additional Hydras arrive, those last 4 are going to spell defeat. Stork taps out, and Queen takes the Monty Hall map victory as we jump into game number 4.
Damn, man.
That was a good try.
Yeah, it was a very good try from Stork. He was very close to stabilizing. Just couldn't quite get it.
Yeah. A little greedy not to have something in the wall there.
Yeah.
Not to have an extra probe in the wall.
It is a bit of an oversight.
He had one probe in the wall at the bottom, but he didn't have the probe in the wall at the top. That's unfortunate. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's Broodwar for you.
Oh, man.
Let's keep going. There he goes. Stork is gone. Queen will move forward, and JYJ is his opponent on Pantheon. Should be an interesting fight here, and I'm glad that we've got a nice even match so far. One player eliminated from each squad.
Yeah.
Looking forward to some great games coming up. We still got Solki in the bag. We still got Speed, Bisu.
Crazy.
There's going to be a ton of games. A lot of fireworks in the last half of this KCM, I think.
Yeah, nice little snappy forward 8 racks coming out of JYJ as well to put the pressure on Queen right from the get-go, although this Overlord will be scouting and identifying that very early on with this vertical scouting path. So yeah, pretty early scout from Queen. Maybe will help this situation, and JYJ will probably end up just for okay, 9 pool before expansion here from Queen. This will actually do a little bit of a soft counter to what JYJ wants to do here. So Queen might be lining himself up for a very strong early game by blind countering this build or the choice here from JYJ.
JYJ is going to be in a bit of trouble now. There is, of course, the option to just fall back immediately, lift the barracks up and land it in the wall and just try to defend that way. I've seen other players do a second barracks, just keep the first barracks pumping and then make the second barracks in the wall. And utilize the wall. Like there is a little bit of lost build time when you build or when you lift the barracks and fly it back. So that's what I'm saying is like you can build a second barracks there just to build to complete the wall,
right,
and still have production out of that barracks. But he's just gonna find out now that it's a 9 pool, and I think he just builds 1 marine, 2 marines, and then floats back into the wall, and he should be okay. Queen not building a huge amount of lings. He's gonna pop 4 at least, but it seems like this game is going to normalize, and I feel like this is very even at this point. A 9 pool versus an 8 racks and nothing dies. I feel like that's a pretty even game.
Yeah, it's pretty even, honestly. Like, it's nothing too crazy. It just means that the Terran can't possibly gain anything anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real hope for the Terran to get an early advantage. It's like, okay, the only way I can get an advantage now is if I make cuts and get greedy. But then you run the risk of the Zerg coming in with the Zergling, so it kind of forces you to make a lot of Marines early on and play defensively. So it doesn't feel good, but it definitely is still okay in terms of like the even power scale.
Yeah, of course, you never want to open 9 pool as a Zerg player and not get any damage either, but I feel like those two, that's the same case for 8 racks.
Yeah.
And both players just going to power out of it.
Ends up being even, more or less, even if it doesn't feel great for either side. It helps you like avoid taking any damage or whatnot in the early game.
And so JYJ just gonna sit back behind his wall. He's got the 1 SCV just in case lings continue to be made. But Queen is not going to get aggressive now. He's checking the map, making sure that there's nothing out here hidden by JYJ, and gonna scout him a little bit later on. So both players, I mean, we're gonna see a nice long game here, I think, out of these two.
Yeah.
Queen gonna go ahead and probably take a base up in top left, maybe the natural. Maybe he wants to take 12 o'clock. What do you like on Pantheon? Do you prefer a Hydra Defiler, or do you want to go into like a late game? It's a pretty big map.
I don't know. I kind of feel like you can kind of do what you want on Pantheon. I feel like you don't have to go Hydra Defiler here. I think you can go crazy Zerg or just go straight into normal late game. I don't think you have to play Hydra Defiler. But I think with the addition of the high ground mineral onlys, like Hydra Defiler has a lot more viability on maps like this, though.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. JYJ, he's probably going to put on some pressure with the 2 racks. I haven't seen the eBay in there just yet. It's a 5-minute mark, and 1 Firebat, 1 medic gonna pop out. So JYJ's ready to push. Queen, can he utilize the Ling pressure to force something to stay back home? Maybe keep the Firebat back at home. JYJ just gonna keep an SCV in the wall for now.
Yeah. And
he is, in fact, being pushed around a little bit by these lings, not allowed to go directly towards his opponent's base, and he might lose this medic.
Ooh,
JYJ, ooh.
Well,
it's a dangerous... It's a dangerous move there.
It's a dangerous minigame he's playing, but at the very least he's forcing turnarounds and sandbagging this push as much as possible, which is exactly what you want to do as Queen in this position. It looked like he was going to make a second Sunker for a moment there earlier, but then he realized he was getting enough done with these lings that he didn't even have to make that, and can just rely on this Mutilus timing to clean up, and he knows that JYJ probably won't commit to coming out on the map with that Mutilus timing. Does have this 1 singular Firebat, going to be finding this 3rd base in the top left, maybe can get some kills on those drones, but I imagine these lings will turn around, and come and clean this up like they should.
Kind of cute, sending the Firebat over to the top left. Now he knows about it. Knows where to target his attacks. Oh gosh, these Marines just kind of wandering out on their own. JYJ lacking a little bit in that control, and could have been taken advantage of heavily there by Queen, but Queen at the same time wasn't fully locked in with those Mutilus yet. Now that he's got the big group, he's ready to dive in. JYJ is not going to be able to get away with any missteps from here on out. Queen flying straight on in. He's going to dive right on top of this turret. He finishes it off, and he's getting to work on the SCVs. Is it an undercommitment on turrets from Queen or from JYJ? JYJ looks at the natural. He scans the natural. He sees 3 Sunkens going up. He cannot trade. He has to come back into this main base with the Marines and contest the Mutalisk. It looked like it was going through his mind for a second, though. Maybe he could just counter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's enough Marine production to counter, though. I mean, he's only got like 3 barracks, I think, right? And I think he needs that 4th to deal with this kind of level of Mutalisk micro. I don't think he's going to be able to establish map control, at least for a few more rounds of unit production. And that might be just enough time for Queen to really get to where he wants to be in this game. Third guest already finishing up. Has got a few Zerglings out here to help do a cleanup as well. And he can swing back around into the main base and kill even more SCVs. Now, JYJ is going to feel pressured to pull the trigger on these Marines and just push out onto the map and try and find something, but that might just be what Queen wants here. He's got so many Sunkens made already, a 4th one on the way. He might just be able to hold this and the Mutalisk can turn around and come and save himself. There's not even a Marine in this bunker. Are you kidding me? This is crazy from JYJ. He's really committing to breaking Queen right here and right now. He might just barely be able to do it, but with 5 medics, he can technically break this, but with the Mutalisk helping the Sunkens, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, diving into the natural now would be a little bit foolish. He's done what he needed to do by pushing across the map. He forced the Mutas to abandon the main base of JYJ, and that'll give JYJ an opportunity to at least rebuild some of these turrets and get his mining back to normal in the main base. Meanwhile, Queen going to start to harass this bio ball. It's looking quite scary sitting here in the front, but as he whittles it down, it'll get closer and closer to a surround, and eventually Queen will wipe this out. So JYJ is thinking about slowly heading back home while building an armory. He's going to switch into Valkyrie.
Yeah, I can't really say I blame him. It might be a great way of dealing with someone like Queen, who is relying very heavily on the Mutalisk for map control and dominance in the game thus far. And he is committing to building more and more of these Mutalisks as well. Some Scourge being made. 12 Mutalisks diving into the main base, trying to overpower this Terran production line already. Marines desperately trying to hold him, but Ling's running in for the ramp as well, going to be supporting this. Might be game over for JYJ right here, right now, as the Terran production is completely exposed. Mutaling diving into the main base, trying to get on top of the turrets in the mineral line as well. This is not looking good. JYJ trying to do a bit of counter-attack with some Marines in the top left, maybe kill some drones up there and sandbag the game a little bit while he tries to clean up in the main base, but it might not be enough. He's going to be losing all of his anti-air in the main base. He's desperately trying to get a Valkyrie online, but I think there is a pair of Scourge waiting in the wings for that as well.
Ooh, he's doing so much damage at this third base. He has to lift off the CC, though, because those Marines were not able to get down into that pocket. The Valkyrie pops out at the perfect time to just barely save the day. JYJ targeting down the hatchery will end up losing all of his Marines. That hatchery lives. That's quite a slowdown to the economy of Queen. His gas income has been ravaged, but does he have enough mutas already to just take the fight? This one Valkyrie takes a big volley, and it's getting quite low. Queen on the hunt now for that.
Yeah.
And looking to dive into the main base once again. JYJ out on the map. He's not in position to deal with that. 2 Valkyries now, though, does a lot of damage. He pushes back the mutas. And, I mean, JYJ has a pretty good bioforce out here pushing towards top left. Queen has to react to that, or he has to go all in onto the Terran base.
Oh, well, he has to do something. He's kind of hedging his bets, not in the way that he would like to. I don't know. I think he might just sack this top left base. Or is he going to... Okay, now he is defending it. I'm really confused by what Queen is doing here. Defend it or don't. Pick one. Like, just sack it and go if you need to, mate. Like, finally, I think he's just going to sack it and go for an attack in the main base. I'm surprised how much he hesitated, though. He's lost so much time, potentially. Now going to be diving in. There's now 3 Valkyries out. Maybe he can get a dive onto them. There's 2 pairs of Scourge. He doesn't quite get the other connection. Only one of the Scourge does find a hit on that. So both of these 2 vessels are now softened up at about half HP. He can split the Scourge off 1 and 1 and kill them both here now, though.
Oh, this is crazy. JYJ, why is he staying in the main base and trying to hold on? I was thinking to myself as you were talking there, should just pull your SCVs, give up the main for a little bit of time until all your Marines can come back in force, and then your Valkyrie number is like the only thing going for JYJ right now. He had to keep that high, and he lost every Valkyrie trying to clean up with poor micro against this small force of mutas and Scourge. And now look at this, tons of lurkers are coming across the map, dude. Shun.
I just feel like JYJ's game sense is not good enough. Like, he killed the base in the top left. Like, you're right. He just needed to evacuate and establish himself again. It doesn't matter if he's not mining on one base right now. He's only against a 2-base Zerg. He just needs to survive. You're completely right, saying now he's lost like any advantage he had at air superiority. Now the lurkers are coming into the natural expansion. It's going to be all over for him now.
Oh my gosh, she did the cheeky move of splitting or getting his Marines out of the bunker and then stimming so that he could deal more damage, but 3 of the Marines died. I don't think the stim made up for that, and he loses the bunker. Eventually, he does clean up at the natural, and he will sustain for the moment. But what are we doing with this dropship? Dropship is insane right now. We don't have enough Marines to put inside that thing.
I mean, yeah, if he attacks, he might just have nothing to defend. I don't know. It's a hope and a prayer. I mean, maybe it works out for him. There is still a line of vector where he won't be spotted by that Overlord on the interception. Maybe he can get it off, but he goes in for the dive, so he needs to fully commit to this defense. Does manage to keep the Valkyrie alive to point defense against those Mutalisks. Does target fire down the frontal lurker as well. The 2 lurkers going to be unburrowing and trying to run away now. Maybe managing to stay alive here is JYJ. Queen not able to find critical damage. Does need to start to think about a follow-up plan here. Does have another macro hatchery on the way, so does have additional production facilities soon, but maybe not enough to get the job done. Is a possibility that JYJ can survive here.
Man, JYJ is surviving on his Marine control alone, I feel.
Yeah.
That last engagement could have gone pretty badly. Actually, the past 2 engagements with the lurkers could have gone bad, but he spread and split everything so nicely. He's gonna go double drop. He picked up every unit. Every unit is in a dropship right now. I mean, he's got nothing back at home, but he's gonna go for this counter.
This is crazy.
I mean, you gotta build bunkers. I think. Yeah. Come on, build the bunkers, JYJ. There's nothing here.
Oh my god, he's got to do something. He's making a bunker now, I think. He's making a wall.
It's a supply depot.
He's making a wall. Man, this is crazy. It might just barely be enough to get it done, though, because Queen hasn't pulled the trigger yet until just now. He's starting to finally will push into the natural expansion. There's so many lurkerlings, but this is buying enough time. The Steepo is very critical in sandbagging this counterattack. A lot of drones have been transferred, so he hasn't really lost those, but this is a crazy base trade scenario we're seeing here. So many SCVs might die, though. So many SCVs just died.
All the SCVs of the natural go down. I mean, JYJ's killing some pretty important stuff in the main base, but he doesn't have bunkers. I can't believe he didn't build bunkers with this. It's crazy. The bunker is going up, but there's only a few Marines back at home. That bunker finally does finish. The Lings are going to come through and clean that up. And JYJ is falling farther and further back into his own base. He's got no more space to maneuver, and he's got 1 scanner. I don't know how many scans he has left on that, but I'm certain it's not enough to clean up everything.
Yeah, and he can't even make vessels anymore. The starport is destroyed. What are we doing? GG finally called from JYJ. I think he needs to do some homework on this matchup. He's not been looking good in this matchup for a long time, unfortunately. What can you say? Nice little win from Queen, but a bit of a disappointment there from JYJ. I thought he had it. I thought for a second he was going to be fine.
A few times there, I was wondering what was going through JYJ's head. Picking up every unit in your natural to go for the counter and then not building bunkers back at home when you know that your Zerg opponent is all in. Like, he's definitely going to attack you. Come on, JYJ. Giving that one over to Queen, even though he managed to kill the base in the top left and he did so much damage. A few bad decisions end up taking him out of this match. This week of KCM, Queen will continue to dominate. Ah, man. I got nothing else to say, guys. Let's jump into the next one. JYJ, man, what on earth are you thinking?
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
ASL champion, by the way. Set number 5, it's Queen versus YSC. YSC showed us some really great gameplay in the semifinals, but hasn't showed up very much since. I wonder which YSC we're going to get today.
Yeah. As long as it's not
Is it the one that...
I was going to say, as long as it's not the one that suicides his shuttles in, I'm happy.
Yeah, hopefully not. Or cross map versus Queen. So we've got the right setup for a nice long game. This is a interesting map with a very wide center area. Can be pretty difficult to hold on as a Zerg player with all these different routes that you can take and such wide open areas. Lurker containment, lurker lines are going to be spread very thin. Can be tough to hold on to a player who is good with Dragoon timings on 2 base or 3 base.
Right, yeah. And I do like this style from Queen, like doing the sort of gas trick pull, like really early pull timings from him, but also optimizing his drone count a little bit. I'm not sure if I prefer this over overpull, but I'm sure with his mineral optimization, this works out way better for him.
Unfortunately, why is he going to get in there and see everything right as the lings are in the eggs? So he can easily make 2 cannons if he wants, and yeah, he will.
Yeah. But this
puts YSC at a good advantage, I'd say.
The fact that he's blocking this hatchery a little bit makes it a bit better for him, because the lings now have to decide: do I kill the pylon or do I go straight commit? So honestly, this does end up a little bit YSC favored, but it can even out if the hatchery's not blocked and there's no shenanigans and he just makes 2 cannons. It can still be fairly even.
Well, he does end up getting that block, and he could have decided to cancel one of the cannons and just build the gateway,
right,
and block with the probe. But instead, he takes a safe route. He's gonna let both cannons finish and make a nexus. He saw what happened with Stork against Queen, and how he just got kind of run over by the early lings and doesn't want to have the same thing happen. And with the amount of cannons he has already, that's not really going to be a possibility for Queen. Oh gosh, it's just barely out of the range. Probe has a little bit more vision than the ling, and he does spot it on the edge there.
He almost ninja'd it though. Do you see that? Almost for a second there.
Yeah.
Almost got away with it. That was almost like 4 million IQ points. Like, is this guy map hacking? What was that? You know what I mean? That was almost crazy. He still is alive with this probe as well. He hasn't actually caught it, He still juked him.
Ring around the rosy there, juked and jived. Gets over to the top left-hand corner again. You can see he likes that spot. Pretty hard to find that probe over in that little pocket in the top left. So YSC's managed to keep this probe alive. He'll be able to send it in at the correct timing to figure out whether this is a Hydra bust or a layer play, and that is huge, big, good information for a Protoss player.
Usually,
what the follow-up's going to be. Super important stuff.
Usually there's an asymmetry in the Starcraft balance, and the reason why Zergs tend to win out over Protosses on average is because of the lack of easy scouting information. But if you do get the probe scout off, you're in a much better position. You can optimize your build to deal with the Zerg, and you're not really worried anymore. But if you are build order obfuscated, you can't see what the Zerg is doing, and you have to hedge your bets too much, you can just end up behind in the mid game. So it's so critical to see things with this probe scout, identify how many drones are being made and when, if there's a third base or not, is this a potential for a 3-hatch Hydra play? You need to identify everything here.
Unfortunately, send the probe in right as the Lings made it back on the defensive, so he's not going to be able to get in with that probe. He's got the Zealot on the map to potentially follow up and get some more information going here. He's taking a look at least at the eggs for the moment, and he's drawing the lings out of the way so that these 2 zealots can maybe come in and get some more information. There's a bunch of lings over in the top right behind the mineral badges I'm a little bit confused about. I don't know why Queen has those up there. If he wants to do a run by or something later on, it doesn't really make sense to me. You need those lings now for the defense against these zealots, and they're just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I wonder if he's just forgotten about them, or if he's got like a bit of a something he wants to do later
Oh, he's
on.
built more lings.
Oh,
So many more lings.
Ooh, okay. But his usual style is not to clean up the zealots behind the minerals, right? So you might like use that to his advantage now. So it might seem normal that he's not cleaning up these zealots. You know what I'm saying? Like he might be able to get away with murder because this is his usual style is to not kill the zealots, just like sort of soft contain them with lings. So now he won't be expecting this big ling counterattack, I don't think.
Oh, is there going to be another zealot here in a moment? No, no more zealots pop out. Here comes the probes to try and block. Pretty decent blocking overall, but it looks like both the cannons will die. And as those cannons go down, YSC is in a huge amount of trouble. Probe's going to run through, kill off this other cannon as well. Just more and more lings popping out. Those zealots are still sitting behind the mineral patch, by the way, over at the third base, just doing nothing at all. So YSC is panicking, trying to keep the probes out of his main, or the lings out of his main. The probes here are doing a pretty good job, actually. This zealot is fighting for his life, and actually not many lings going to make it up this ramp. Only 2 maybe make it into the main. That's a pretty good defense. He did lose quite a few probes overall, but he's done a reasonable job. Okay, Queen gets supply blocked. A cannon finishes in the natural. He's going to go after that. The cannon, will it go down? Pretty good drill there, but it's a second too late. Queen gets the next, or gets the cannon, and is there a cannon in the main base? I'm not so sure. Queen is just trying to momentum this into a victory. He's doing the best that he can. There's no cannon in the main, and the Stargate's going to go down.
Yeah, that's a pretty big technical win there. Being able to shut down the ability to establish air superiority here for YSC does put a bit of a longevity issue in the works for him to deal with. Now that he's also struggling to stabilize, the damage control will be very, very punishing here, because even if he survives against the Lynx, he's now got Mutalisk to worry about, and he can't build Corsairs. So now he's got to build cannons, which he can't afford to do because he's got probes off the line, and that won't even be an optimal defense against the Lynx here. So this is not going to work out in any way you slice it, unfortunately, here for YSC. There is no way of making this work, as Tasus would say. Unfortunately, he's just going to have to die, and a tactical win here from Queen.
A nice play from Queen. 2 times in a row winning with Speedlings, man. Speedlings taking him to victory over Stork, and then taking him once again to an early win over YSC. Queen on a spree as he goes up against Speed in this next one. Yeah, hate to see it, but it was good play from Queen.
Yeah.
Not a bad decision. Another Protoss player not pulling probes into the wall.
Yeah.
There's a potential run by.
Yeah. Look at that.
He brought the Zealot back home. It was a smart play to bring the Zealot back home, but he didn't put it in the wall properly.
Even if he did, there's still
getting punished.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Just one probe blocking would help.
One probe, it helps a whole lot. Just like 3 extra seconds to pull the rest of the probes into the mineral or into the wall.
Yeah.
Make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. You get greedy.
Yeah. It's rough. All right. Mio, are you done classes? Can you bring the heater in here? I'm cold. Just a second.
No worries. I'm gonna grab a drink quick.
All right. You here? Okay, he's taking a break.
Yeah, I'm back, man.
Yo,
Yo.
let's go, go.
그렇죠. 예, 며칠 전에 최근에 김민철 선수를 다전제에서 또 잡은 4대 1로 잡은 또
I was really looking forward to seeing Soulkey play today. Hope that
그런
Queen doesn't go all the way here. It would be quite the time to pop off as Queen, but speed standing in his way, so I'm fairly confident that we're going to see Soulkey come out eventually. I imagine Speed will be able to find a way in against Queen.
Yeah, you're hoping Speed will be able to slow Queen down here, pun intended.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this is a great map for Crazy Zerg, and I can't imagine Queen doing a different strategy. It's just so strong. That was really revealed to us by Soulkey in the SSL.
Yeah.
The most recent series versus Light was quite revealing as to how powerful that map or how powerful that strategy is on this map. So we'll see if Queen wants to copy that. If Speed has a counter to it, I'd also love to see that as well.
Speed is getting a 12 gas, so yes, Speed is saying, oh, I'm going to probably go mech this game and try and find a way of making it very difficult for you to want to go Crazy Zerg here.
That's definitely one way to switch things up and prevent the Zerg from just playing their game. Crazy Zerg is pretty dependent on the opponent doing a certain type of build, and if you're just not going to play that style at all, then I guess it'll circumvent that problem for the Terran player, at least for now. Let's see what happens.
This might be Wraith play as well. Like, this might be very aggressive from Speed. We don't know yet. This could just be a straight up 2-port Wraith. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, with only one SCV mining gas, it's not going to be 2-port Wraith. It could still be 1-port Wraith, potentially, but I've seen Speed do a lot of different stuff with this early gas play. He could go for a very fast Vulture drop. He could go very fast Vulture speed. He could do a lot of different stuff with this. He could go just for 1-port Wraith. I mean, there's plenty of options with the fast gas play from our Terran player.
Yeah. And it could just be a 1-1 style into Valkyries, and it might even still be a bio build here from Speed is the interesting thing. You might just be doing a Valkyrie rush. You don't quite know what exactly Speed has got planned just yet. He might just be wanting to go for a very fast tech build and then throw down his CC right here, right now.
So far, he's being pretty stingy with the amount of Marines he's built. He's only popped out 2. He's going to get a Vulture in just a moment. And Queen has kind of realized that there's a threat of a Vulture potentially coming out.
Yeah.
Throws down Sunken Colony at the front. And even though he hasn't gotten a scout of what Speed's up to, he's going to be countering that Vulture, at least running by initially into his main.
Right, and it could be so many different things. Like we were saying, it could be just Speed Vultures, or could be even like fast drop play, fast Valkyrie play. It looks like it's going to be fast Valkyrie play, at least so far, although he hasn't built a starport, right? So it might not be. It might just be a straight up Goliath build here from Speed as well. We don't quite know what his plan is for that.
Not sure if I like the Goliath play on this map.
Yeah.
You can set up a pretty good wall of Sunkens at the front and hold 3 bases, no problem. And then if you could sneak a drone out somewhere to one of these high ground bases, it's so easy to defend from high ground with sunken colonies. These Lings are trying to get in here and do a bunch of damage before too many vultures are out, and he's already got speed. He's diving on top of these. He's got one of these vultures killed, but as long as speed micros the way that he usually does, and I'm sure that he's, microing his heart out here with 520 APM. He should be able to hold this. It's so close, though. Just a few more hits on a couple of these vultures, and it looks like he's going to be able to clean this up. No. The vultures managed to hold back everything, and man, this is on a knife's edge at the moment. Yeah. Speed is so close to death. He starts a second factory, but he will be able to hold on for the time being.
It seems like he's made just barely the right amount of vultures as well to not die. He wasn't microing at the best of his ability there, so he did make a few additional vultures to keep going with the defense, which was a wise decision, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have held. This is kind of wild. Like, I was expecting a little bit stronger micro from him there. He did seem like he was struggling just a little bit, maybe nerves showing because of how close to death he was and how flimsy the build felt at that moment. Is going to be transitioning now, does manage to weather the storm for the time being, is looking reasonably healthy, but I'm not sure exactly what his plan is going to be here. If he's just going to wait for this upgrade to finish and then push and just try and like turtle for the time being.
Well, I just looking back at what that build was from Queen, I think that might have been designed to kill if he was going for early speed. Like if he had spent the time and build time on the factory to build that add-on early and was going for speed, and then that huge amount of Lings comes in and kills the first couple of vultures, you won't have like 1 or 2 vultures. You have 1 or 2 vultures less to deal with that attack, and you won't have speed right off the bat. So I think that might have been the idea from Queen. Now he's going to push in with a whole bunch of Lings and quite a few mutas in this front. I wonder if he can just break through right now. Does Speed have enough? He's got 4 Goliaths and a few vultures. The vultures are very, very good. Vultures and Goliaths are excellent against Lings and mutas, but combined together with the tanking from the Lings and the mutas doing the damage, you might be able to crack through here, and he's been able to reduce the Goliath count by quite a bit. The Vulture runs off to the side. It's not going to be in the first part of this fight, and it ends up going down quite quickly. The repair is just not there from Speed, and he's struggling to hold on against this. Queen is overwhelming.
I mean, he's trying to now recover with the repair, but he can only win these trades with the repair already being active during the fights, and he's killing all the turrets off one by one as well. If he just repaired a little bit in these fights, he would have been fine. Unfortunately, he didn't identify that he needed to repair to get ahead on those trades quickly enough, and now he's starting to pay the price for it. Unfortunately, Speed being slowed down to a grinding halt almost. He's already been cracked open like an egg, and Queen is ready to come in here and lick up the yolk that's pouring out of him, saying.
He's microing backwards away from the turrets up on that high ground. Unfortunately, he's just going to be losing a bunch more of these Goliaths. He's forced back the mutas into the corner at least. And there's actually not that many mutas. There's hardly any drones back at home as well, by the way, Shin. There's like no drones mining on those, on the minerals at that natural basin. There's almost no drones here. There's like 5 drones on the minerals in the main as well. He is so all in. It's crazy. As long as Speed holds on for a few more seconds, he's going to be fine in this game. Just finish up a couple more turrets and get out another round of Goliaths, and he should be okay.
It's really wild that Speed's actually managing to do this. Like, I'm so glad that he's actually starting to repair. Like, and he looks like he might be able to hold. Like, with this amount of Goliaths now, maybe he's fine. It's possible that unless Queen can somehow manage to pull these Goliaths out of position, with enough turrets, this is looking more and more like Speed's done it.
Goliaths are great against Lings, by the way. They just clean them up so quickly, and Queen has spent so much money into these mutas and Lings. He's going to go for one last timing, try to dive in, but there's a wall at the front, a perfect wall. You can't even get by that with the Lings, and up on that high ground where he's about to attack in with the mutas, there's a ton of anti-air ready to go. This is it, man. He's just diving in. He's going for it. But as soon as he starts to lose these mutas, I think we're going to see the tap out.
Yeah. No, this is. I don't think he can hold on much longer. He can start to try and make drones and come back in this game, but he will not scale as well as Speed will. This is. I think he is trying to do a little bit of a mini transition, trying to get up into 2 hatchery production a little bit more healthily on his drone count, but it's not going to matter. I don't think he has killed quite a lot of the SUVs, so maybe he's feeling confident. Okay, if I can kill this many SUVs and I make drones, maybe there's a way I squeeze out a good enough value to going into the mid game here. I don't know. He might just barely be able to do it, but I don't think so. I think there's enough like saturation here from Speed that I don't think that was enough damage from Queen. He might feel like he has enough of an edge here, but I don't think so. He might be feeling like he's got like 20-30%, but I'm feeling like he's got maybe like 5 or 10 max.
I think that's a good approximation. 5 or 10% chance at this point. Queen, he went so all in with that early game. The Lings into the Mutilus play, and now he's losing drones back at home. This brings his chance near to 0 as more drones start to fall. This was a long time coming.
Yeah.
To reproduce some of these drones to get his saturation back to a reasonable amount, and now he's lost it again. Vultures coming out from Speed over and over, just going out onto the map, and he knows that there's only one sunken colony there. There's no other buildings he can continue to run by over and over again. There's really nothing that Queen can do about it, because he has to get over here and deal damage, or he's just going to completely lose this game. Speed taking a 3rd base right now, and you can see that Queen's not even close to that.
Yeah, I mean, and we see Queen here trying to compensate by using a handful of Lings, like block the Vulture run by, and like in a theoretical world, like on ladder, like the guy's not good enough to dodge the Lings and still get in. But as we can see, Speed is just on top of everything. He gets past the Lings and he's manually target firing drones while he's defending against the Mutalisk back in his base. So I mean, this is really well played from Speed to be able to like kind of like managed to deal with this so far. But I mean, Queen has been able to try to do some good trades to come back in here, but he's not even denied this SCV building this CC yet. He finally comes back and kills his SCV on the exit. I mean, there's just not enough compensation in this game here for Queen. It's 9 kills on this, 10 kills on this Vulture. What are we seeing?
11 kills at the very end there. That Vulture just crushing the economy, and the Speed allowing no survivors, taking no hostages there, just going after Queen with everything he's got. I like the aggressive play from Queen, but it was a little bit too all in. He didn't deal the damage that he was looking for. Like I said earlier, I think that was primarily gauged to snipe down a more teched out play from Speed, but Speed was just making Vultures. He was just sitting there. His game plan was very straightforward. Build a bunch of Vultures, play really safely, get into Goliath play, and Queen was not able to crack him open. It was close. It was so very close there for a couple of minutes as Queen was trying to pick off those Vultures and then going after the Goliaths, but just wasn't quite there. And I'm so glad to see Speed take out Queen, because now we're going to get to see an even match with Soul Key waiting in the wings. He's going to be the final boss once again, sitting there waiting for that last player to test their might against him. Bisu or Speed, who's it going to be? We're about to find out.
Damn, man.
Yikes, that was super close.
Yeah.
Gotta give it to Speed, though.
Yeah, no.
Some really good control.
Gotta give it to Speed. He's been outdoing himself recently. Hope he can keep it up. I want to see this guy become like one of the best Terrans ever. You know what I mean? Like, and like give a new spin, a new fresh coat of paint onto the Terran race, and show these other guys there's new ways of playing.
A good story.
Yeah,
He's been on and off and like growing so much recently.
Now there's a new kid in town.
Yeah, for sure. Sexy.
Yeah.
My boy. 10-minute flash.
I mean, he's come a long way. You got to respect it. You got to respect the hustle. You can't make it any other way with StarCraft. It's too brutal of a game. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You would need a You would need a lot of hand holding to not be that way. You'd have to have like all the pros like liking you for some reason, like taking you under their wing and teaching you all the ropes. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be so weird of a situation to not have to go through that.
And even if you did have that like Goldilocks situation,
even then you want to make it.
yeah, you'll make it to a certain level, but you still have to grind to get to the top.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
There's no way.
And they all know your styles as well. This is the problem, is like once you become good enough that they know of you, like you're playing against the pros on the ladder, that you're fucked. They will figure out your style, know how to beat you, and as soon as they know it's you, they will know how to fuck you over each time. Until you get good enough that you don't have those holes in your play, which takes a long time, right?
Yeah. Becoming adaptable is probably the hardest part of the game as well.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can have a nice style and you can play pretty well, but can you adapt to whatever I'm going to throw at you?
And that's what these pros are going to abuse the hell out of you and just beat the shit out of you for years until you figure it out. So you've got to have the tenacity to keep grinding while they're just abusing you.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go. Really impressive adaptability shown by Speed in that last game. Handling all of the weirdness from Queen, despite that being a pretty low econ aggressive game. He showed some excellent control and decision making. Now going up against Bisu in cross match. This is going to be another interesting matchup. I think that Bisu has the ability to take on Speed. He's shown a lot of progress in this matchup. Speed is looking so incredibly strong lately.
Yeah, I have to say, in terms of who's progressed the most, Speed wins on that particular, quiz or whatever. I don't know. Like, that competition definitely goes towards Speed. Like, 9 times over, you could ask that question. I'd probably say Speed.
Change his name to Acceleration. It's not Speed anymore.
Yeah, he's accelerating into the stratosphere and beyond, to infinity and beyond. He's the Buzz Lightyear of the Terran race, and even when he's like looks like he's losing, he's still falling with style. So you got to hand it to this guy.
He's been a pleasure to watch lately, and we have high expectations for him in the future. Barracks on high ground, right above the ramp.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like he wants to wall, but that's not standard at all anymore. I think there's just going to be a supply depot. Can you fit a supply depot on the left-hand side of that, or just on the right?
I'm not actually entirely sure, to be honest with you, Sam. We so rarely see these walls that I'm not entirely sure. I think he
might be able to fit it on the left side, and then he'll have like a little bit of a funny wall to maneuver around a zealot, but yeah, it's just not common at all anymore to see this.
Right. I don't think I think it'll be a semi-wall saying. It'll just be like he'll do like the normal like depot on the right, but like just closer to the ramp. So it's like kind of like a wall, but really it's just giving you a forward micro position to like do the micro at the ramp rather than further back into the base.
I guess that makes sense. He's gonna have that first Marine out. Zealot is coming, so he will have to utilize his SimCity here to try and hold on against this. A pylon on high ground. Did he see that or not? It seemed like he was just at the bottom of that ramp.
Saw it. I think
he did. He did.
Did he?
I think he did, yeah. Because he got vision on the top of the ramp, and his retreating vision must have seen that. It was thrown down right as he was leaving. So I think he knows about that pylon. Does he pull SCV? Okay, yeah. See, he's got the SCV on the top of the ramp here. Bisu doing something crazy.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna work though. Bring a bunch of SCVs and take the fight to the ramp there. If he can take over that position with a bunker, he wins.
Well, the plan is that the Reaver slugs it out down the ramp and just busts the bunker for the Protoss player, but the Terran player is trying to contest this high ground. We can see additional gateways being thrown down behind this as well, and a shield battery to help buffer against this gambit. There's 3 zealots now. One can come from the left-hand side. Speed has to pull back. It's a little bit devastating that he's not getting the body blocks with these SCVs, because now the Terran Marine position is opened up. He can't really deny these two of these zealots from getting surface area. This is really rough because he can't really navigate up the ramp without losing Marines at the very minimum. Going to be losing pretty much all but 1 Marine. This is terrible, almost worst case scenario here for Speed. He's barely surviving, and he's got a Reaver on the way in a moment here. So even if he does somehow hold on, how does he take his natural expansion? This is looking devastating for our Speedster here.
My gosh, if you can see the look on my face right now, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Speed, what in the heck happened with those Marines? He doesn't even have a bunker at the bottom of this ramp. He was expecting to be able to push forward with the Marine SCV and get up onto the top of that ramp and actually kill the buildings there before this got underway. So he really didn't respect the need for a bunker at his natural, and now he is so far behind it's almost unwinnable. Bisu pops out a shuttle here already, and he kills the vulture as well. This is brutal. He's got the shield battery to go ahead and heal up those Dragoons as they're taking damage. He's getting kills and just healing these up over and over again. Speed is trying to push forward. He loses another vulture. Oh, this is so brutal. We just talked up Speed so much. I think the Caster's Curse is in full effect.
Yeah, I think so, Sam. Caster's Curse will always come back to bust. But this is a real nice plan from Bisu, and the great compensation, throwing down the shield battery to deny the trades working out for Speed. Even if he could somehow deny the surface area off those zealots, he still would have been fine. Eventually would have stabilized, get these Reaver out, and would have been a good spot either way. And getting it done with just the gateway units alone is kind of crazy. Like, Bisu showing us that he's the guy to be keeping your eyes on, because he's still progressing very heavily in this matchup. GG finally called. He's not quite 10-minute flash yet. He needs to play a few more game states in the early game to really figure this stuff out, because it seems like Bisu just had its number.
일단은 경기 빌드 자체가 테란이 빌드를 사실 전진 게이트는 주 우승은 해야 되잖아요.
Damn. The hell was that? The Marine attack was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so bad.
That's too cocky. You're getting too cocky now, kid. Need to rein it in a little bit. He's trying to be. He's trying to be. This is the thing, though. He's trying to be 10-minute Flash a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, Flash has played that game state a few hundred more times, so he knows when he can get away with it.
I think the high ground there really messed him up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he wanted to push up that high ground, and then the Zealots were way too close. And he's like, oh shit, I gotta run. And then everything just fell apart.
And then he fucked up with getting away because he couldn't block with the SCVs. He couldn't deny any surface area as well, so there's no way he can get back to the ramp safely.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was next level bad. Yikes. All right. Final game of the night. Let's go.
Get it.
조금이라도 도움을 드리기 위해서 여러분들 저희도 빼고 싶거든요. 근데 몬티올만 빼기에는 또 형평성이 안
Oh my goodness. Bisu versus Solki on Monty Hall. Shouldn't.
Yeah, man, I'm getting
Couldn't
chills.
have asked for a better final match.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like they know, you know what I mean? It's like the script writers, they know, saying we are living in the best possible timeline right now.
Well, I don't think Speed would agree with you after that last game.
So relative.
He really, yeah. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but it seemed like as he was coming up that ramp, he got surprised by the Zealots in their proximity, and wasn't able to block, wasn't able to really do anything, which
Right.
in a situation where he probably should have been able to win,
But he did stop Queen.
should have been able to push. I mean, he stopped Queen, he did a good, he showed
He did his
some
job.
really strong play, but
Yeah.
Terran is now eliminated. It's all down to Bisu and Solki. Solki, the belle of the ball here. He's the man to beat. Will Bisu be able to take him down with what's looking like a one-base play? Just
Yeah.
going for a very fast Corsair. Pretty standard on this map, though.
Yeah, the 3-time Maestro, though, newly anointed potential Bonjour for a long era. If he can somehow keep this up for another season, can you imagine if we had a Flash versus Sulky in one of these next follow-up SSLs, and Sulky's still champion, and he's still just back to back to back to back belt title holder, just dripping in belts. Like he doesn't even need clothes anymore. He just uses the belts to cover up his nether regions.
That's what we should have for SSL. If I ever make a tournament myself, there's going to be a belt. All right? That's why we're doing it.
Hell yeah, brother.
It'll be the SSL, the Saiyan Star League. I'll steal their name and we'll have a belt. That'll be fun. That'll be hype.
Yeah, or you call the SSSL, the Super Saiyan style, or something. Get away with it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. Just one up them a little bit there. Now, Sulky, he hasn't thrown down a third just yet. He went for the faster gas, so a 2-hatch play out of Sulky is not totally standard on this map. He's still going to go for a layer, but I hope he's not expecting to have Scourge out in time to deal with this Corsair, because Corsair is already about to pop.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with dealing with one-base tech builds as Zerg. You have to really respect, like, even something as small as just how you position your overlords on the map becomes crucial. It could be literally like a make or break. If like your third or fourth overlord is just not positioned well, that could just be game over for you. In terms of when the overlord dies, when you get supply booked, like that could be a very big factor in this game. And he also made a single Dragoon to both deny scouting and potentially catch one of these overlords as well. So this is going to be even more frustrating for Sulky. Not only is Bisu going to get scouting advantage, but he's going to be denied his own scouting for quite some time here. He won't know the exact follow-up, and there is a very fast Citadel, so it might be a DT play here.
Citadel is very interesting. I'm
Yeah, Sarah DT.
not sure what that's going to be for. Sarah DT, I suppose, but on one base, it's not as much of a thing because you're really not going to have much gas.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the gas to build DTs and Sairs at the same time, I think, on just one base. Let's see if Bisu can get away with it. He's going to scout and see where the hatches are located for Sulky, and then I think he's going to expand in the direction where there's no hatch. So sees that there's no hatch heading towards the center, and then I think he'll expand on that center path.
Sulky's
he wasn't able to...
Look at
go ahead.
Sulky's built an evolution chamber already. I just want to point out how good Sulky's game sense is right now. He knows the only way he can die is if he doesn't make spores. This is such good game sense from him.
Well, he's potentially going to be losing 3 overlords. There's one still over on the center right. That's moving towards Bisu's base. And he can't build overlords at his main because Bisu is sitting there just waiting for that. Bisu's starting to mine out from the middle patches.
Yeah.
Looks like he will take that base at the front. And I would be pretty happy as Bisu right now. The amount of kills that he's done and the fact that the third base is still not here yet for Sulky, it's looking pretty good. The game plan has gone off without a hitch so far.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the better scenarios here for Bisu. Sulky would be straight up dead if he didn't go for this spore play. He's really behind, but he knew the one little compensation he had to adjust to just not straight up die to this. So he will make a playable game out of it. But so far, it's a pretty big edge for our Protoss player. Although we will be seeing a fairly fast relative to Bisu's natural expansion 3 base online for the Zerg player. So maybe he can still race ahead in the mid game if he can navigate this cleverly. He will be getting some good scouting information with these Scourge as well.
Hasn't spotted that Overlord over on the right-hand side. He's tucked the Corsairs in back at home. They're nice and snug up against that Nexus with some cannon cover as well. He's waiting for a few more Corsairs to pop out so that he can potentially two-shot down these Scourge as they come in. And that'll be his power spike when he can start to move out once again and look for more Overlords to hunt down potentially.
Yeah.
Natural is coming up now for Bisu, and he's nearing that point where he can start to do the pressure. And with that Natural coming up, he will have that second gas online. So I guess he is going to be able to move towards DT play here pretty soon. It's just what we'll have to see whether or not that can be effective against Bisu or against Sulky, who opted to go into spore colonies, which are very, very helpful against Corsair DT play. Like if you just got a couple of spores here and there, there's almost no way to get in with that DT and deal any damage.
Now, even though spores are good, you also want to know when to make them. Like we see here, Sulky only had one spore for the longest time. He's only just now adding an additional spore. So he's being very careful when he builds them, because obviously it does require a drone and some minerals to do so. But it seems like he's finding the perfect beats in the game of when to add these additional spores for when the next phase becomes online. So now that there's the threat of the DTs and Corsairs harassing on all three locations, we see one spore at all three locations. So really well optimized build order to respond to what Bisu's doing, despite being caught off guard here.
First DT is going to go into the main base, but Sulky has a spore there as well. He's so well prepared for this attempt by Bisu to pull him apart with his DT Corsair play. Lings will be jumping on top of that DT now. Drones may end up going down, but looks like the DT is going to be denied. And Overlord speed is done as well. So he's going to chase this down, no problem. This is some great decision-making play. Heads up responsiveness from Sulky. Yeah, this is excellent. It's not over yet, for sure. Sulky, he's still tiny bit of a deficit, but he's definitely handled all of the future or the follow-up plays from Bisu very, very nicely, and he's given himself a good position to go into this next stage of the game.
It does sound like we're glazing him a little bit, but honestly, guys, he's one of the best in the business at finding a way of playing from behind that no others can seem to do, and he seems to be the most comfortable guy playing from weird spots, and it almost seems like he knows just how bad it can get and he will still be okay. It's kind of wild how comfortable he is and composed in these scenarios. It's almost like he's the Zerg Flash, where he kind of knows what he can and can't get away with and how he needs to play to catch up. And it's really bizarre, how confident this guy is at navigating these murky waters, but he seems to be the absolute god at doing it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. He feels so calm from behind. It seems like he almost tries to get into these bad positions just so he can work his way out. It's a little bit of a puzzle that he has in his own head, and he just works his way into a good spot over and over and over again. And every time I'm surprised, but I really shouldn't be at this point.
Yeah.
He's done it so often. Bisu's still looking for kills here and there. But it's so funny. Look at this. Sulky, every time he's got one Hydra next to the spore, because if he, oh my gosh, what is this Nexus? if he has the one Hydra hitting the same Corsair as the spore, he will kill it before he can run away. It's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, and this third base is funny because he knows that Sulky will try and slow down him taking another lane, right? He's going to try and make it very difficult to take another lane. So Bisu's like, okay, I'll just take another base in the middle lane then. So Bisu's kind of having a very funny reaction to what Sulky's doing in this game. It does kind of make sense. It also gives him an outpost to launch assaults from with these Corsairs as well, to retreat back to the safety of these cannons as point defense. So it does kind of make sense in the current game state. It does look more and more awkward the longer the game goes on, but for now this is actually a tenable position for Bisu to play from.
pretty hilarious, honestly.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about with the Hydras on both sides of Bisu's base. It's going to be so hard for him to move into either of these two lanes. Holding this base in the front does seem to be the optimal decision. And yeah, even with lurkers out there as well, that's so frustrating to even try to get through. Oh, drop coming in. Or was that just a lurker burrowing underneath Hydra and then hopping over the wall? It might have been just that.
Yeah, just that.
And now it's here in this main. This one Templar's not going to get any storms off. The storm kind of whiffing for Bisu, but this is a lot of zealots in the main base, and I don't see a lurker.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he would have lurkers back at home, but he just doesn't. He's going to make some lurker eggs to try and sandbag this push. But Bisu is continuing to push through, and he's doing a lot of damage.
This is starting to look a fastest game in desperation moment here. Very bizarre stuff. Does have a few good tactical lurker egg blocks between those hatcheries to deny some surface area, but has taken a lot of damage, lost mining time on top of that as well, and still the zealots are raining around the main base, starting to clear up those, but they might get into the natural expansion and kill one or two drones here. Okay, maybe they're thinking better of it. I think he could have gone for a couple of drone kills there with those zealots.
Oh, it's going to go ahead and just block the Hydras from coming through this little tiny gap. Funny that he only opened up that one mineral patch so that he could, run through with the Zealots, but it would be so hard for Sulky to push back.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate defensive position for a Protoss player, is having a tiny little gap like that with a bunch of cannons on the other side. There's almost no way to get through, and there's no way to mine that out either.
We saw that in some of the earlier PVZs on Minstrel, if you remember, with like those scenarios of like just abusing those bases where which we're facing outwards with Reavers and what have you. Like, just craziness. It can be established. If there is some kind of mineral wall involved, you can set up like this and take full advantage of that. It does make sense from Bisu to take this middle base based on the current game state. I can't fault him. It does look like it's going to work out as well. But as a result, there will be a natural tendency here for Sulky to reach out on the wings of the map. So we see this like kind of like, it's almost like a raider from Battlestar Galactica shape base set up from him as he tries to engulf the Protoss player slowly but surely here. I don't know, like right now this looks good for Bisu, but this could become very Sulky favored soon if he doesn't keep the pressure on Sulky.
Sulky is expanding so much, and he's got a ton of drones that just popped out trying to saturate these bases. This one base over on the center left is actually not covered, and so the DT and Zealot army will get in there to deal a little bit of damage. And there's really not much that Sulky can do about it. He's going to send the Hydras down now. Oh my gosh, 3 kills on that one lurker. Pretty good pull from Bisu to keep most of the probes alive, but that was a significant, scary moment there. Oh, the base goes down. Holy, Bisu actually gets that kill. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, that basically like reestablishes Bisu in this game. It stops Sulky running away with it. This is much more manageable 3 base versus 4 as a Protoss here. It's still a little bit awkward because of the weird game state, but honestly, having this forward base here might actually be a benefit for Bisu. It will make counterattacks easier for Sulky, though it is tactically giving him a lot more skirmishing opportunities. I don't know if this is going to work out long term for Bisu, but at the moment it's favoring the game state. The only issue is the longer this game goes on, the harder it will be for Bisu to establish a 4th, and so it becomes worse for Bisu the longer the game goes on, basically.
I saw a shuttle out. What are the chances he just goes for an island base? Just try to take a base in the bottom left? Well, I think that Sulky's actually thinking about that right now because you can see he's spreading overlords over to those 2 locations and realizing that those are the only viable bases that he could go for at the moment. Some shuttles coming over and just drop a couple of Dragoons. He's trying to mine out into this pathway or this lane so that he can start to move in that direction, but having a hard time establishing himself on the other side of these mineral patches, and we're going to have a few lurkers move over here. Finally, he does open up that lane, so he will be able to get through now, but Sulky just slowing him down little bit by little bit, forcing him to take more time to push through this direction, and every moment he buys right now is just more time for him to get more bases online. He's actually taking top right and bottom left at the same time, by the way.
This is absolutely... Yeah, I was about to say, this is absolutely beautiful StarCraft we're seeing from Sulky. StarCraft in its purest form is putting on pressure to your opponent while you're growing yourself. And we see that exemplified here by Sulky into its perfection, using the bare minimal amount of units to keep a whole infantry force of Bisu not able to even come in here and take this expansion while he's expanding to 3 bases at the same time and picking off the shuttle with great micro. He's crazy how he's macroing this much behind and using such little units to accomplish so much. Saying, how do you beat a guy like this?
Sulky looking absolutely unbeatable right now, and Bisu, I mean, he's nearing defeat now, I feel, with a supply lead about to come in for Sulky. He's about to catch up and actually surpass his opponent. There's not a lot of longevity left in these 2 bases that he's acquired, and he's taken so long to grab that base in center right. If he loses it now, this game might just be over.
Yeah.
Sulky pushing up with a huge army, but there is quite a lot of Dragoons available and some Storms. Maybe he can push this army back and make this into a game.
Right. And we see some counterattacks as well, getting some drone damage here. Almost 8 kills on this DT. We'll get the 8th kill before it goes down, but Sulky doesn't really mind about that at this stage in the game. He's got so many hatcheries online, so many bases to saturate from, and we don't have the 4th base online, and so many of these Dragoons are getting target fired down. Beautiful concave from Sulky, doing enough storm dodge to try and whittle down the forces little by little, drain as much of the energy out of these forces before going in for the kill and isolating most of the drained army that he can't now defend against the flood of Hydras, target and firing down individual goons with pretty much stellar knowledge of the game. I can't really fault Sulky. This is really 101 PvZ stuff, just executed to flawless perfection and figuring out the trades to the point where you've got just a few Hydras left over to pick off all the High Templars. I mean, what more do you want?
Excellently controlled by Sulky. Yeah, nobody else can control Hydralisk quite like that. So well managed there. With the number of Templar that Bisu had and the number of Storms he had available, a lesser player would have been absolutely annihilated. By lesser player, I mean everybody else in the world. Anybody would have been eviscerated by that many Storms. You're not going to win that fight, but Sulky somehow finds a way to do it, and he makes it look easy. He's so smooth with his control.
Yeah.
He's spotting bases now. Bisu spotting bases down in the bottom left, realizing how far behind he is. He's going to try to get a shuttle into that location to deny the base, and it looks like he might be able to get down in there, but it's still a losing battle right now for Bisu, who's having such a hard time making any progress. Some Zealots and a DT going to be dropped down into this base. Maybe he can just barely stop this sunken colony.
Yeah, he can.
And yeah, it looks like he may be able to kill this base. Can he get a probe over here, though, and take it for himself? Because I think that's what he needs to do at this point.
It'll take such a long time for this creep to disperse that it won't even matter. You know what I mean? It'll be way too long for him to actually build the Nexus. So I don't know if this even will amount to anything. It looks like he's not even going to get that. He's not even going to get the kill here. And he's getting dried up on the right-hand flank. This is crazy from Sulky. Winning in almost every metric from being behind in the early game. Just wrap your head around that.
Bisu is running out of steam. His natural base just ran out of minerals. His main is about to do the same. He's still on 4 bases, so this is still, at least another 5 to 10 minutes of Protoss, potentially.
Yeah.
He could possibly push out to the bottom lane and grab that base just outside of his main, but then he's got 3 lanes open, 3 different potential attack paths for Sulky to come at him. And Sulky is growing like crazy. Yeah. He has so much money. He has such a massive supply lead. Bisu has almost no hope of pushing against him right now.
This is like coronavirus 2.0, and the world just doesn't even want to bother dealing with it this time. This is just not a threat that can be contained, saying, unfortunately, the pathogen is widely displaced and will not be contained. I don't know what Bisu can do. I mean, he's going to try and skirmish with this High Templar force, but Sulky will just whittle this down and like only engage with like the bare minimal amount of Hydras at a time and keep adding more and more Hydras to the fight as they get dried up. So he will whittle this force down. Even if the Bisu does trade reasonably well, there shouldn't be enough of a force left to actually do the job that it initially intends to do and come and start killing expansion. So eventually we'll have to retreat here over and over again. We'll never have a critical mass to deal with Sulky.
It's so funny because if there was any other Zerg player, I'd be wondering, you know, where's the hive? You know, when are the lings and the defilers going to be online? But it feels like Sulky doesn't even need any of that. Just building hydras and dodging storms. He's so good at it.
Yeah.
Even these massive dragoon armies with huge amounts of storms are not even a problem for him. He's so perfectly dodging all of them, getting into position and just sniping down the dragoons, taking these fights. Legendary play from Sulky. He is absolutely a Bonjour, no doubt about it.
It is ridiculously difficult to be consistent at what Sulky is doing. Like you know what to do as a Zerg player, but doing it is a different thing entirely, and that's what usually happens to most Zerg players, that they know what to do, they just can't execute and they lose all their Hydras. Sulky's not one of those guys. He's almost like he's running drills. Like he's not even trying to win, he's just practicing it. And it's like he's putting himself into these game states just to keep practicing these drills over and over again to get even better at them for next time round. It's crazy to watch him play.
Looks like he's going to continue to grow, trying to take basis on Bisu's side of the map. But I don't think he even needs any more bases at this point. It's really Bisu who needs to continue to expand. He's going to try and take the base at the center right, that base with the ground over top of it. The ledge there, but this army is just too small. There's so many hydras coming forward. These dragoons are going to get cleaned up, and as the last of the dragoons fall, the Templar are going to be completely unprotected. Pretty good storms fighting back these hydras, but all the archons are going to fall. The dragoons are lost as well, and there's just one cannon keeping him alive. GG. Sulky closes it out. The final boss yet to be defeated in the KCM, continuing his reign here by taking out Bisu in this final game.
Man, he's just unstoppable. What do you even do with someone like this? Like, it's kind of scary, honestly. Like, there's like an aura about him. It's like he's got this sort of Terminator-like calculation to his play. It's almost inhuman. It does feel kind of like you're watching like an AI play against a human.
All right, we just wrap this up.
Yeah, man.
I've got dinner on the table here.
Go for it.
All right. One thing we should all learn from this series: you never ever count Sulky out. This guy is unbelievable from a deficit. Always able to play at his absolute peak when falling behind his opponent. So impressed with his ability to just keep calm and stay stone-faced. When I watch him on ASL, every single time you just look at his camera, the man shows no emotion. He shows no regard for any of these other players. He plays like nobody else can, and he knows it. Sulky bringing it home for the Zerg players here, and putting them in first place in week number 2.
I mean, it must be a lonely place up where Sulky is. Like Eminem says in one of his bars, nothing but tumble leaves and nothing but tumble. Was it nothing but leaves and tumbleweeds up in this bitch or something like that? Like, yeah, that's basically what it's like for Sulky. There is nothing up there on that mountain with him but just the cold air to meditate on as it whistles past him. You know, I mean, no one is on the level of Sulky at the moment. I don't think anyone is going to be coming close to that for some time. We may be seeing a shift in things in the next season or two of SSL as Flash comes back and shakes things up a little bit. Who knows? But as it stands, it just seems like he's the guy.
Well, I'm feeling a little bit robbed here today because I wanted to see Speed versus Sulky in the end there. I don't know if it would have been the best to see them on Monty Hall,
right?
But on like a more standard map to just see Speed and Sulky go at it, that is a spectacle that I need in my life right now. I want to see that match because I really do feel like Speed is moving in the direction of being capable, taking out players like Sulky. Well, there's really nobody else like Sulky, but taking out Sulky is maybe on the horizon. I want to see it happen. I want to see his Speed continue to grow. It's just hard to imagine it when you see his dominance against Bisu in that last game.
Right. I mean, it would be very difficult for me to see someone like Speed being able to dismantle someone of Sulky's caliber right now. Though he is on the journey to being able to do so. I just don't know who can. I mean, he's the dragon that can't be slain right now. He's like, it's almost like we can't kill him, so we need to contain him. We can't actually kill his body, so it's like that Path of Exile trailer where he says to him we can't kill your body, but you're gonna watch everything you built burn. That's what we're going to do to Sulky. We're going to have to somehow immobilize him and then destroy everything he built.
I think Speed is one of those players who can take out just about any Zerg player in the world when it comes to his drop play, when it comes to mid-game. Maybe he gets taken out by Sulky early, but I really do feel like
if anyone could
in
do it,
that
it's him.
specific matchup, in TVZ, the way that he puts the pace on you, he's like he's like a long distance runner, you know what I mean? Who's just doing like a 6-minute mile every single mile, and he's just yelling at you in your ear like David Goggins, like who's gonna carry the boats, as you're sweating out your ass and just trying your best to keep your one foot in front of the other. He's
stay hard,
yelling monologues at you and trying to get in your head as he's just putting the pace down, running those miles. It's crazy the way he's able to put the pace on the Zerg players in these matchups, but I don't know if it's good enough to take down Sulky. It's definitely good enough to take down pretty much every other Zerg in the scene right now.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We see that onwards trajectory of Zerg as well. Looks like Zerg with this early lead in week 2, already looking pretty handsome, but everything's still to play for here. 3-2-1 across the board on the points. Hopefully Terran don't flatline out too much and Protoss can stay in the race. I would love to see a 3-wave race all season long from these guys, all the way to the semifinals. Everything is so exciting in KCM. You never know what you're quite gonna get. Kind of like Forrest Gump, like a box of chocolates. I'm looking forward to taking another chocolate next week, and seeing what we get.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like the video. Check out the links in the description as well. Give some love to KCM and the man who puts this tournament together. The Korean guy whose voice you heard throughout this cast and who's been on screen multiple times. He is a legend.
Yeah.
Make sure to let him know you appreciate him. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. Alrighty. Oh, go eat your food, bro. I'll just send it over to you in a minute when I can, yeah?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Good cast, man. Go eat your food. Take it easy.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go get some food myself, so I'll catch you guys on the flippity flip.